Welcome everyone, k.d. here with another update about my game Sun World in Pieces. Like always, disclaimer, nothing you see here is finished. This is still a game in development. Today I want to go a little bit into the progression systems. I will show you how you can improve your attributes outside of combat and also how you can learn new abilities and things like that. And I will kind of bring you closer. What is the idea behind everything? What is my motivation? Why it ended up looking like this, like it does now? Um, Again, maybe I will do some changes here and there when I see it maybe doesn't work as I plan to. But yeah, here, let's just go into it for now. When we go here on the character stand, we open up a new window. What we see here is we see all 27 attribute points our character has, and you can improve them here as long as you have attribute buffs. Attribute buffs you get after defeating monsters and so on. So you see I haven't finished this list here. It's just the top 5 and tier 1 down here. So you see I have to do a little bit something about the structure, but I kind of took this from the result screen, so I have to change a couple of numbers and things like that. But that's kind of the idea. How here you see an overview, and if you have an attribute buff, I don't want to go too much into every detail what it means to get attribute buffs and so on. But if you get one, then like I said, you can upgrade your character, the attributes of your character with them, and it will cost some experience points. So there are specific, you don't get just attribute buff and then you can choose in which of these 27 attributes you want to invest it. That's not the case. The reason is because if I wanted to do so, I have to expect that you learn what these 27 attributes actually do, and that's not what I want to do. So instead of just getting a neutral buff that can upgrade everything, that doesn't mean that maybe there will be some rare occasional an item that actually exactly does that, but in general you will get a specific attribute buff. As example, for strength, you get the strength attribute buff, and so your choice is not to which attribute I want to invest this buff, but more like in which character I want to invest this buff. So if you want a character that has very high strength or anything like that, then you may want to invest it in this character. So if you have one of an attribute buff, then when you get into this list here, you will get this plus sign on the right side. So that means you have more than 0, and you can invest them for getting points. So here now you can read what does this do. So strength does a lot for attack, absolute. Here I use the short term, so as arrays, short range attacks, am arrays, mid range attack, L arrays, long range attack, and then we have as is special attacks, and then there would also be TW or tech. I'm not sure what I have somewhere, and that would be tech weapon. No, I don't have it right. So and here you see kind of what it does. So short range attack, it does improve the damage. Energy usage should be minus, I guess. It lowers the energy usage. Yeah, it should be minus. That's something I have to correct. And so on. So, and double blast means it has a double effect. And for mid-range attack, we see damage plus, so, but only one time, so it has only one. For long range attack, RT is the reaction time. That's the time how long you need from one turn to the next. So strength lowers this a little bit, and for special attacks it also lowers the energy usage. It also in defense it improves the block rate and also the reaction time damage you can take, and it also improves your energy. So you see energy on the top here. So this 228 is the energy, and every time you use above you improve strength, you will also improve the energy. And then on the lower end we see the cost. So we have strength buff -1, and we see we have 2 of them, so we can invest 2 of them. And then we see the cost of experience points down below, so it costs 230. At the moment I have for everything the same rate. It's the actual strength level times 10. So maybe I forgot kind of explain this one here. So we have 2 numbers here. So the number here, the blue one, is the actual attribute that your character has, or not the actual. It's kind of like if you're stripped down to nothing. This is the raw attribute level you have, and then 27 is with all the bonuses, with all, if you equip accessories that give you strength, give you more strength or things like that. That's with the equipment, with the weapons that give you more, maybe more strength and things like that. And that's with the ability bonus you get, and stuff like that. So this here is the complete one, the complete number, and the number that actually counts in the combat. But you see the cost is reference to the raw number you have for your character, so 230. And then you just have to press on plus, and we see we invested 1. We see now we have 24 to 28 here. We lost 1 strength buff. And the next step will be minus 240 XP, and we also see on the top that our number here changed, so seems to work. Like we have now 229. When we invest 1, then it should go up to 230. Okay, so that's a bug. I just realized that's all we have here. And that's kind of what you can do here. And so kind of you will see everything you do here costs experience points. So that's kind of what you have to do, kind of manage your experience points. But you, at the moment, you get quite a lot of experience points for defeating enemies. So I have to see how exactly I'm going to balance that. So at least at the beginning, it's not too easy to kind of just to always have too much experience points, so that you never have a problem with the experience points. I mean, you have to work a little bit to get experience points and learn new abilities. Then another part will be the ability tiers, and this is something I actually changed. First, I wanted to do kind of like for all the abilities, kind of do a roadmap, and then having like you have to learn this ability, and then you can learn this ability, or you have to learn these 2 abilities to learn this specific ability and things like that. And I did a roadmap for 6 of the tiers, and it was so crazy complicated if I did it like this, that a roadmap. First, how exactly do I want to do this roadmap so for the player he can understand it very fine, things like that. and it just didn't feel right to leave it like this because it was too overcomplicated. And it would also been difficult for me to really, like I said, visualize it and stuff like that. So I did a lot simpler method, and that's kind of with this tiers you see here, and with a little bit of color coding you see green, yellow, red, and gray. So kind of, if I look at that, there's kind of one thing I always I'm very critical about with RPGs, and that's kind of these skill boards. Skill boards like we see some famous examples maybe are we saw them in Witcher 3, Final Fantasy 12. What was the Lord of the Ring games? Shadow of Mordor. Maybe in Shadow of the War we had it too. I never played that game. I only played the first one. Kingdom of Amalur and things like that. There we see these skill boards, and I'm very critical of them because I don't think they're very interesting. They kind of have the excuse that it is ultimate freedom for the player, because the player can choose which ability he actually wants to learn, and that fits his playstyle the best. That's maybe just me, but I don't think, like I said, that it's not interesting. I don't think that's very interesting. I find it more interesting that instead of having to choose the abilities um, that will affect your specific game style the most, the game itself should reward the player for doing a certain play style. I mean, reward in kind of the direction like if you use a lot of short range attack, then short range attacks will improve faster than other attacks and things like that. And that's kind of what this ability system is. It's hopefully that's what I want to do, is really rewarding for the player. It's also kind of like, if I see these skill boards for me, and then with the excuse of giving the player freedom, shouldn't come with being being uncreative from the developer side. So I always kind of find this often in kind of open world games and sandbox games. I kind of find like they just throw tools at you and say, here, please be creative, so we don't have to. That's sometimes the feeling I have, and it often feels lazy. It's just kind of throwing abilities at you, and then here is a skill point, so now you can choose what to do. So in the end, here again, it will cost you experience points to learn an ability. So the ultimate final choice, if you want to learn this ability, is on the player. But on the other hand, like I said, the whole ability and progression system, I want to do it, be it really rewarding for players who go do side quests and other things. And I will go a little bit deeper into what I mean with that by explaining the colors and things like that. So if you think this is actually not the only ability tier here, if you go back, I think this one here I started to set up too. So here we have example 5. Here are all the attacks, short range, mid range, long range, tech, weapon, and special skills. Then under crafting and improving, we also have again skill trees. So there's quite a lot abilities you can learn, and I don't think that tier 10 will be the last one. So there are a lot of abilities to learn just for one character. And yeah, so what we see here is that some of the tiers are locked. So again, you won't have the ultimate freedom to say, okay, I save a lot of experience point and I learn as fast as possible the most awesome and strongest ability that is there. That's not a possibility. You have to work your way there a little bit. So this, and the tiers will be locked kind of like, yeah, you have to learn a certain amount of tier 1, and you have to learn a certain amount of tier 2 to unlock tier 3, and then you have to learn a certain amount of tier 2 and a certain amount of tier 3 to unlock tier 4. And this is meant over all. I guess there are more or less 4 ability tiers, with I guess about 20 different abilities in one tier, between 15 and 20. It's difficult to say right now, and it probably also depends a little bit on the character. And it's not like that you have to for tier 1 to learn all 20. Let's just say it's 20 abilities. You don't have to learn all 20 abilities. It probably will be fine to learn around 10 or anything like that, and then you can unlock all the tiers with that. So there is a little bit of restriction, but there is still some kind of freedom. So if you want to really concentrate on one specific type of attacks, you can do that to a certain amount. You still have to learn maybe some other attacks and things like that. But that's kind of about the tiers to unlock. I think that should be more or less clear how this works, or you will find it out very. I know the numbers here. I didn't set this up yet because I need. I just need to see how many abilities you know already from the beginning. But that's kind of the idea with the tiers that are locked. So there's a little restriction there. Let's go to the colors here. So gray means this is an ability that you don't have enough knowledge yet. What does that mean? You have to find an item or anything, or learn an ability, or craft something or anything like that to unlock this ability that is needed to learn about this ability. And how can you get to that in different ways? So kind of if you do a side quest, then you get maybe an ability scroll or anything like that. If you do a specific side quest, then you get as reward an ability scroll or anything like that, and then you can gain the knowledge to learn this ability, and or you find an ability scroll or anything like that in in a shop, but it's quite expensive, and you have to make the decision: yeah, do I want to buy this scroll, spend all this money for this scroll, or do I spend the money for something else? Or maybe you have to defeat a very strong opponent that leaves a rare item or a rare material back, and with that rare material you can craft a new weapon or anything like that, and with this new weapon you can unlock new abilities and stuff like that. And that's what I mean with kind of going rewarding, and that it's important for me that kind of not giving you the ultimate choice to, hey, learn this ability if you kind of want to do this game style or anything like that, but more how you play will give you the option to learn this ability and things like that, and reward you for doing kind of this extra work, for going for side quests, for grinding materials and other stuffs and so on, so you can learn these new abilities. So kind of the mentality is a little bit different. It's really like, it's still kind of like how your game style is will give you different rewards, but it's not. But the mentality of this skill board is kind of like, hey, here is a skill. Now choose which skill is you like for your game style. The mentality of my game is more like how you play will decide which abilities you can learn. So kind of that's the important aspect here. Uh, yes, so let's just go further with the colors. I hope this is kind of clear what I mean with that, or I hope it will be clear when you play the game. Then the next color is red. So red is an ability you learn, but you don't have the right requirements yet to learn this ability. That means maybe you need to have a specific attribute on a specific level. That's not the case yet. Maybe you have to upgrade a weapon to a specific level. Maybe you have to learn an other ability before you can learn this ability, and different things. So just kind of there are requirements so you can learn these abilities, and that's again very strongly connected to how you play. So if you use a lot of short-ranged attacks, then it will be easier for you to get the requirements for other abilities that are connected with the short-range attack. But maybe it will be, or not maybe, it should be then but more difficult to learn other abilities and so on. So maybe what I also have to say with the tiers is, it's not always like this that you have to, if you want to learn tier 3, in, let's say, in under jobs here, if you want to learn the tier 3 ability, then it's not like then it's not always like you have to learn before that tier 1 or tier 2. Sometimes it is, sometimes you have to learn something that comes before, but that won't be always like this. So you don't, again, you don't have to learn all abilities in a category to learn one specific tier of this category. So maybe sometimes the requirement is that you have to learn another, maybe if you want tier 3, then you have to learn tier 2, but that's not always the case. That's one thing I wanted to say here. There was another thing I wanted to say, I forgot about it, maybe I will remember it later. Then yellow is, you meet the requirement. The only thing you have to do now is kind of spend experience points to learn it. And then green means you already know this ability, things like that. I mean things like that, just you already have learned it, you know this ability. That's green. So yellow are the ones you can spend your experience points into to learn this ability. For red, and what's not right now, I don't have this, but if you have a red a red ability, then you can hover over it and it will tell you you need this and this requirements, so you can learn it. So it's not like that you will be completely blind. You will be blind if you don't know the if it's gray. Then it's kind of secret. Then you have to do something in the game or something else, so you get this ability. But as soon as you know the ability, the requirements will show up as soon as you hover over it. Like I said, I haven't done this yet here. Then it will tell you, yeah, you need strength attribute of 10 and you just only have 8. You need to learn this ability to do it. You have to get this item so you can learn this ability. You need this specific weapon for using this ability and things like that. So maybe before I scrap this up, so I know this is kind of complicated. It's also difficult to explain right now, and maybe it's not directly needed right now that you have this knowledge. It is my job that when you play the game, that this is not a big concern of you, that it is too complicated. What going over 4 tier tables, or how you want to call it here, to find out how I can learn this specific ability or anything like that. That will be my job, that to make it as easy for you as possible, and so you don't have to really concern yourself too much with it, and just really enjoying being rewarded for playing the game with new abilities. Of course, if I will succeed with this, it's difficult to say at this point. So I mean, maybe let's go through what we see here a little bit. So what we hear on the characters are really character specific attributes and states you can improve. Like I said, like here, the attributes, of course, this list, and then also here under ability tiers, we see here are jobs. So jobs are, how can I explain? Yeah, are kind of skills or talents, or what I said, that are, or yeah, or like a job. Something that this character can acquire, and that will help him to do different things in the world or in combat and stuff like that. Maybe as example, we look at here. So searcher is maybe a little bit very specific thing for Arwen here. That's his kind of job that he really has. I don't want to go too much into it, but it gives him the opportunity to use the Stonebreaker, his big hammer, and you will also see to interact with certain items in the level with the Stonebreaker to get new items and so on. So handyman is kind of like, maybe I have to go back for that. So the problem here is that crafting and improving won't be visible at the beginning. So you have to learn handyman, and then you can start to craft and improve simple things. So you can, with that, you can improve your backpack and just some little things. And then you kind of learn new job abilities, like tanner or things like that, and then you can start to create leather armor and stuff like that. And later on you learn to use metal, and then you can learn to craft metal armors and so on, or weapons and other things. And this will also be kind of a little bit character specific, so I guess most of the characters would can do some simple things like crafting small things like additional stuff for your backpack and or items like potions and things like that. So but only certain characters can craft new weapons, and maybe some characters can only craft kind of this specific weapons and stuff like that. So that's kind of the shop abilities. And not here, sorry. And there, like I said, there are different things that will affect how you can interact with stuff in the world. It will also affect your combat in certain things, and it will here in the progression also affect a couple of stuff, what jobs you learn and so on. So this is probably a very important category. And we also see here, I haven't set it up yet, job levels. So there will be certain tasks. Like I said, with Searcher you can interact with some environment in the world, and maybe a task is interact 10 times with this environment, and then you gain job point, and by investing experience points in, you can level up your job level, and this will improve certain states for your character. It may give you more health, it may give you boost to your attributes and so on and so forth. Or like under handyman, if you craft 5 items, then you will also get the job point, and then you can again invest experience points to learn to level up handyman, and then again you will get again maybe attribute bonus or anything like that for leveling this up. So kind of course this is optional, but like I said, you can do this kind of tasks that are sometimes, and as higher level as you get, as more grinder they get. So it's up to the player to again being rewarded for kind of going for this task, this optional stuff, instead of just following the story. And now I remembered what I want to say. So, but of course, it's also possible if you want to complete everything, if you want to learn all abilities for your character. That's of course also possible. There won't be a restriction that you can only learn a certain amount of abilities or anything like that. If you want to learn everything, that will be possible. There will be quite a lot of requirements that you can do this, but I hope this will also kind of motivate you to do this kind of side quests, maybe explore the world a little bit more, do a little bit more grind stuff to get materials together so you can craft a certain item and so on and so forth. Yes, but that's kind of about job levels. So training is also a little bit a special thing. Training does a couple of stuff, couple of stuff. Every time you are in a resting place and you are here, you can also choose to do training for your characters. So right now there's one thing I'm not sure yet, and that's kind of like I have to limit how much training you can do. So one thing is, again, you have to invest experience points into it. I'm not sure if this is to have only experience points as a limiter, as a restriction. I don't think that's enough, because training can be very powerful if you invest a lot of experience points into this. So another thing I was thinking was giving you energy penalty. What would make sense? Training costs energy, so if you leave the resting place, you get this penalty, energy penalty. You lose a certain amount of energy. So the problem with that, there are two problems with that. That means I have to give you another restriction so you can't go too low with your energy. So as example, that you still have at least 50 energy left. Second problem will be you just can't go immediately back to the resting place and start the training again, because when you enter a resting place, then you fill up your energy again. So this is maybe a little bit a difficult one. So what I was kind of like that I give you only the option to practice a certain amount of time, kind of maybe 3 times, or maybe this is something that you can improve. Maybe at the beginning you can only train 1 time, and then you can maybe train 3 times or anything like that. And then as soon as you leave the resting place, you will fill up these training opportunities again over time. So I don't know what, maybe 5 minutes. You have to wait 5 minutes, and then you can go back and train again, something like that. I'm not sure yet how exactly I want to do this. I think this is probably the best option to do it like this. Or I will do everything. Give you that you also get the penalty for doing training. I mean energy penalty. So you leave with less energy if you practice. Yeah, we'll see how this works. This is not something for the demo version, because in the demo version we don't have the world. So this is still something I have time to think about. And again, so the trainings, you have to learn them first in this as abilities. And again, you maybe sometimes maybe you find a person that knows about the specific weapon, and that can show you a method to practice. And maybe you first have to talk to this person. Maybe you have to first do a side quest for him, so you can learn this training method here in your ability list, and then use the training in another in here what is not created yet. So that's kind of the idea with the training. I hope this is, yeah, this is maybe something again that is a little bit, may sound strange when I just explain it, but I hope it will be clear as soon as you play the game. It shouldn't be that complicated. So, and if you practice, then again you will, if you do training, then again you will gain points. You can improve certain abilities that they do more damage, or you can improve your character. He always do maybe a little bit more damage with training and practice. So that's why I say training is can be a very powerful thing. Also, the training will most probably be one of a very popular requirement for learning new abilities that affect combat. So new attack types and things like that. So that you have to bring. So training will also have kind of levels. So every time you practice, you will go up a level, and then you have to spend more experience points the next time if you want to practice. Again, as higher the level is, as more experience points you have to invest to practice one training method. That's kind of the idea here. So like if you want to learn a new ability, maybe you have to have a certain training method to up to level 10 if you want to learn this ability. That's maybe a restriction. Then weapons is actually the weapons you can use. So you see here, these two at the beginning are actually there are two types of weapon: unique weapons and common weapons. The first two, absolutely, the Stonebreaker and the Tooth Dagger, these are unique weapons just for this character. Stonebreaker, you know from the beginning. Tooth Dagger, you have to first learn to first have to craft a dagger. But that this will be something that you can do very early in the game. It's kind of this is a part I probably will do as tutorial to kind of bring you into the whole progression system here, how it exactly works. That's at least the idea here. But then there are the common weapons you can learn. Common weapons are weapons that everyone can use, every character can use, and that will be that you can bring in with as extra equipment into your combat. There's of course a limitation how much you can do. So first thing is, like I said, you can improve your backpack and anything like that. And you can also improve your weapon belt and things like that. So you have to first craft a new holster, um, for your backpack or for your weapon belt or anything like that, depending on the character you have and how he brings weapons with him. And then if you have an empty holster, you can bring an extra weapon with you. And of course there are different holsters and different weapons. So there are small holsters, you can bring only small weapons like daggers, knives, and things like that. Or there are medium-sized holsters, then you can bring swords with you and stuff like that. And then big-sized and so on. And yes, so the idea here is kind of like, because every character has its unique weapons, that means that they will be from the beginning very strong on some specific in some specific attack ranges. As example, the Stonebreaker is a mid-range weapon, and because it's the main weapon Arwin uses, is the tendency that you learn more. Mid-range attack is a lot higher than other attacks. And then the dagger is of course a short-range weapon. So now we have the problem: long-ranged weapons, also tech weapons. Arwin has nothing there, but he can bring a common weapon with him, and then you can also learn a bit new abilities for for long range and for tech weapons. And if you like this stuff more, you have actually the possibilities with these common weapons to give this to characters that are not specialized in these weapons. With the common weapons, there will be, I'm not sure how exactly I want to do this. So what is with the unique weapons, what we have there is that you can improve them during the game. I will go in another video because this video is already way too long into this a little bit more. How I will handle unique weapons, I'm not sure yet. I mean common weapons, did I say unique? How I will do it with the common weapons, I'm not sure yet. There are different ideas I have, not only with weapons, also with armor, that they have some kind of durability and that they can be destroyed. And then you have to craft, or buy a new common weapon if you want to re-equip it. Then there will be, of course, weapons that are that have low states that don't do much damage and things like that. And then there are very rare weapons that do a lot of damage and that are very powerful that you can find in the game or that you can craft at a higher level. Yes, that's kind of about the common weapon, but I also would find it interesting to have this durability. So there will be a possibility to repair your stuff, but that will cost you probably some kind of material or anything like that. But not as much as if you have to craft a weapon from the start. It's just then the question that what I do with the really raw weapons that you can only find on a special occasion or anything like that. Exactly, I will handle that. Maybe some weapons won't have durability and just work forever. But that's something I still have to figure out, kinda. But that's kind of the idea with unique weapons and common weapons, and kind of that common weapons give you the opportunity to learn skills that your character is not specialized in. But first you have to learn here to use these weapons. Yeah, that's kind of what we have here. Like I said, drop levels is not set up yet. I mean, this is of course also not set up. Training is not set up, and there's still a lot to do here. I also started to have. Actually, I started with this, and then I realized that maybe I have to do the other thing first. Like here are really the combat abilities that will affect your combat. So short range, mid range, long range, tech weapon, and special skills. Again, it's kind of the same. It will look the same. So right now I just don't have the image here that block the tiers and stuff like that, but it will be this similar thing. And then on the crafting and improving also. And like I said, the abilities will change between different characters, have different abilities. Maybe some abilities will be the same absolutely when we look at abilities that are common weapons. Things like that. So yeah, I know this was maybe a little bit a confusing explanation about the abilities, how you can learn it and everything like that, and it was way too long, but I still want to do this update kind of here, kind of give you this idea. So like I said, if you don't understand what I want to do with the ability system and things like that, that's fine. Again, it's my job to make it as easy for you to use all these tools I have here, and to make it as for you that it's very simple to understand. That's my job. If it's too complicated, then I failed to do so, and I have to do it. I have to change this. So that's why the progression system will be in the demo already very strongly present, to see how other people can handle the ability, the progression system to learn new abilities. If they understand it, do I have to do something differently? Do I have to give more information at certain points and things like that? Yes, and so that means for the demo version, it's very important that I have the progression system. Maybe a little bit the simplified version. Maybe simplified is the wrong word, but just not complete. Let's say it like this. It won't be complete for the demo version, the progression system, of course, this character, but at least that enough that you kind of get the idea what exactly do I want to achieve with the progression system, that you get the feeling with it. That's kind of goal for the demo version, and that I can get some feedback to, yeah, this works, people understand how it works, or no, people have problems with this part and I have to change this, or kind of give more information about this and stuff like that. So that's what I want to say about the ability system. So there was, and that's kind of more or less about the update I have for the game. So now, if you are also interested about my YouTube channel, I kind of want to give another update for that, and but about the game, it's more or less finished here. So about my YouTube channel, I couldn't do a lot of live streams this week and also last week. I had a little bit, just the time was difficult, and I was often just really, honestly, too tired to also stream while working. And then stuff like this, setting up the all these attributes and ability tiers, I just don't think that's very interesting to stream, to be honest. It's very repetitive. It's a lot of more, at some point it just gets to kind of copy paste thing. It's kind of like you have to figure out at the beginning how does it work the best, how can I give as much information as possible with limiting the player in kind of doing things fast. I mean, with advanced players that already know how it works, so it doesn't hinder them with too much information, stuff like that. And this, I just don't think this is interesting to do on a stream, and it's also kind of like I rather to do this without talking, with having kind of music in the background, um, or anything like that. It's for me much easier to do it and to get kind of in the workflow, because, like I said, this is not the most interesting stuff to set up in a way. At least, I mean, of course, it's interesting with the requirements and stuff like that, and kind of because this is kind of creative part. But then really just set it up here in the menu to, when you hover over something, then a text comes up with the requirements and blah blah blah. Or adding these images to the buttons and stuff like that. That's not very that's not too interesting, and I get better into a workflow when I just kind of have music in the background and just kind of maybe sometimes shut off my brain and stuff like that. And I can't do that on a stream when I also have to talk. So that's why I say I don't feel this is very interesting to do on a stream. So, and this is very important to do. Like I said, I want to push this forward in the next days. So that means that there won't be many streams in the next, probably maybe next week. Depends a little bit how fast I get forward, how much I can do. I will try to do some streams. I prepared some more animations for the combat I want to add, so I purposely didn't add this stuff yet. So when I find the time for a stream, I will do this on a stream. So I will really try to give you a couple of maybe 2 or 3 streams this week, because next week, maybe this week and then next week, until this is finished, and then we can kind of when this is finished, we really get to the part where we have to optimize everything and set everything up for the demo. That's maybe then more interesting to do on streams again. I kind of explain a little bit deeper what I did here and stuff like this. because I always want to do these updates very short, 10 minutes, and now I think I talked again for 30 minutes and probably more than 30 minutes. I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of like, I know this is not maybe it's not too much interesting and not many people come as far, but I hope that you see that I have very, because I can talk so much about the game and what the ideas I have, I hope you see the passion that gets into this game. Yes, where was I? Yeah, so kind of this is so in the next days, and really going further with this demo, and this to really give to release a demo that for everyone is playable. That's really my next goal right now, and that's something I put a lot of focus on. And I think to really go to the demo part, I have to really get this structure, the main game mechanics done, and this is a big part of the main game mechanics. And this is, like I said, a little bit boring. It's not too interesting for streams, and that's why just at the moment, at least for next week, there won't be too many streams. Like I said, I will try to do some shorter streams with the animations, adding the animations. There's some interesting stuff there. I can talk about and show you while I set this stuff up. Yeah, and then I hope maybe a little bit before the demo I can release the demo version. I don't want to say a date when I can release the demo version because there's still a lot of work until then, and I don't want to make any promises or anything like that. But really, for sure, when after the demo version, I want to really come back with doing more streams. I mean, I did a lot of streams in January and February, and now just the last weeks here in March, it slowed down with streams and also all the content from my YouTube channel. That's why I still try to do these updates regularly. And yeah, so kinda, but really, at least after the demo, I really want to get back to the flow, back to the goal to make daily, maybe more or less daily videos, or streams or anything like that. For my YouTube channel, and maybe also go back to do more tutorials and stuff like that. But really right now, I kind of want to focus on that. I don't think, and again, for the reasons I already explained, I don't think this is very interesting to do streams for it. There is just only so much time I can invest in this project per day, so that's all. So kind of what I'm thinking about is that I will do better schedule after the demo is released. I want to do a more strict schedule. That means I won't separate this. I guess I won't do this kind of marathon streams and normal streams. What I kind of want more is more or less every day. Probably not every day, but more or less every day. Maybe let's say five days in the week to do a live stream and start a live stream at the certain time, and then maybe most of the stream will be probably around between 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and just and maybe some streams if I don't know, depending on the work I do, maybe I will do longer, so there maybe still be marathon streams like really this 4 or 5 even 6 hour streams I did before. But I won't separate them from the other streams anymore. This will just kind of be like how I feel at that certain day, what I do at this certain day, and if it makes sense to do a really long stream. It's just like, it's not like I kind of enjoy these long streams because I get a lot of things done, but so as I did it right now is kind of looking at my schedule of other stuff and then really find these time frames where I can do these long streams. And then I just find out that sometimes it's just a day where you're kind of down, you're tired or anything like that, and then you have to do a stream like, I mean, it's not that difficult to make 90-minute, 2 hour stream, but then really going over 3 hours or something like that, it can get hard. And yeah, kind of with that, it probably will be more like more streams, but shorter streams, before then, like having this 2 times per week very long streams, and then these really short streams where almost nothing can be done. Yeah, so I mean, this is the YouTube channel is still something I build up. I mean, I still have to learn how does it work the best for me, and it is possible that in the future things will change again. But really, I guess maybe it would be better to have a very strict schedule with at this day, at this weekdays, at these times I start the stream, and then I just kind of leave it up to the day how I feel. Maybe also kind of like if there is not much going on in the not much, no one is watching, no one is commenting or anything like that. Then then I can cut off the stream early, or if it's a lot going on, people ask questions and stuff, then I can expand the stream without problems. If this will work, I don't know, but we will see after the demo is released, and that's really the main focus now. Until then, it may be a little bit messy. There maybe content-wise there won't be much, but I hope I kind of got this things right now. I explained this a little bit, so kind of understands how I feel. Let's say it like this. I don't want to make this video is way too long. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So I want to end this video here. I mean, if you have questions, you can always ask them, and definitely as soon as the demo will be out, or maybe even earlier, I will kind of maybe have to schedule how I want to do it and the ID done. Then we can talk a little bit more about it. I also think it's easier for you guys if I have a clear schedule. It's maybe easier for you guys to tune in, because right now you don't really know. You know, I do regularly live streams, that's what I say, but you don't really know when they are. And then if I have a really schedule done where I'm just live, it's much easier for you guys to tune in. Yeah, with that, I'm sorry that this video went so long. I mean, I could talk 2 hours more about the progression system, about the abilities and stuff like that. It's very difficult for me to keep these things short. But yeah, let's just end this video here. Thank you for watching. There will definitely come more updates. If not live streams, then I will definitely do more updates and bring you a little bit more my game a little bit closer to you, explain a little bit more stuff. Hopefully maybe I will make shorter videos and